Hey everybody, welcome to Creative Ops, a podcast for creative people by creative people. The song you're hearing right now is me playing. I am creative person Christopher Talon, host of the show. I'm very enthusiastic today because I get to talk to a fellow drummer. I talked to Alfonso Seville of Heartsick back in episode something or other, and it was so much fun. I've been following this band for decades now. So I reached out to the drummer and I was like, hey, Jake, I'm a big fan of the band. Do you want to come on my podcast? And he was like, in normal times, no, but this isn't normal times. So yes. So I want to get to that podcast because we totally nerded out about drums. And if you're a drummer at all, you're going to love it. If you're into metal at all, you're going to love it. If you're just into music, you're going to love it. But first, I want to tell you about my friends of this show. The first friend I want to tell you about is our newest friend, IRIE Kitchen. That's IRIE Kitchen. IRIE Kitchen is the best organic Caribbean street food, period. Not just around here, but maybe anywhere. Maybe even in the Caribbean, because Pops that's working back there, he is from Jamaica. Him and his wife moved to London and then to the United States here, where they had their son Vince, who runs this business, has been doing it since he was 19 years old, and it's an amazing place. Go check him out at www.irie.kitchen and taste the rhythm. Well, it's actually taste the rhythm, but I feel like it just sounds so much cooler when you say it with an accent, and I don't have a cool accent. So go and taste the rhythm at IRIE Kitchen, my favorite restaurant in the Grand Rapids area. Baby Farm Soaps, only on Facebook, is this fantastic company in Kentucky that makes organic lip balms, beard balms, hand creams, and just the most delightful soaps. They look nice, they feel nice, they last a long time. You just get a little bit on your hand and start to lather that up, and all of a sudden you're just like, whoa, where did all this soap come from? It's insane. I love it. My kids love it. Everyone in our house has their own bar. We all have our own tube of lip balm, and the hand cream saved my knuckles. Usually this time this year, they almost look scarred, but they're not even cracked open. Go check them out. Baby Farm Soaps, only on Facebook. Tell them you heard about them on Creative Ops and get hooked up with anything that you need, and ask them about their custom labeling. That's right. It doesn't have to be their label. You can have it say, congratulations, I love you, I miss you, let's get together soon, happy birthday, Dave. You know, whatever it is, they can do it. Make it special. Great gifts, great things to buy for yourself. Baby Farm Soaps on Facebook. Hey Guys Media Group basically strong-armed me into starting a podcast in the first place, and the only reason I went along with it was because they said, don't worry, we'll help you out. I'm an employee of the company as their blogger SEO kind of guy, but I'm also a beneficiary of their expertise when it comes to putting together a podcast. This would sound like garbage right now if it wasn't for those guys, and it probably wouldn't even happen in the first place. So if you think you can do better than me, hey, check out heyguysmediagroup.com. Put it to the test. Those guys can help you make your podcast, whether it's helping you with a couple things along the way and making sure it all gets done right, or you say, hey guys, I want to start a podcast. You get it going for me, and then I will slowly take over. They can help you, they can teach you, or they can stay on and keep doing it for you, and you just want to be on the mic and you want to have all that stuff handled. These are your guys. Give them a shout at heyguysmediagroup.com. Find their socials, get involved, and find out what they can do for you. Hey Guys Media Group. Let them help you make your podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, the original sponsors, Rivertown Adventures. Check them out, rivertownadventures.com. See what they've got going on this year, because they've got new stuff going. Now, you can go on the Red Cedar River, the Grand River, and the Looking Glass River. These guys are in and around Lansing now, so go check them out if you are in that Lansing capital city area. You can go right up to they created a little beach right downtown on the Grand River. If you just want to walk up and say, hey, give me a boat, I just want to hop in for a quick little paddle, get something to get the heart going real quick. You can park your car, go jump right in the water. Or if you want to go on one of their routes, you can park your car, get in their van. They will drive you, your friends, and all the boats and paddles and gear that you need to a predetermined spot. And you can go from there back to where you parked. It's great. And honestly, I think it's the most fun, original experience you're going to have in Lansing, in or outdoors. There, I said it. I always say it's the most fun you're going to have outdoors in Lansing, but it's just the most fun you're going to have anywhere. Okay, so go ahead. You can go there with friends, with the date, with the family, or you can go there by yourself, put in some headphones and listen to Creative Ops while you're cruising down the river and checking out the cool wildlife and the natural scene that's kind of hidden when you're in the city. rivertownadventures.com. Live free, go paddle. My guest today is Jake Bryan of the band Heartsick. He is their drummer. And, you wouldn't know just from talking to him. He's a pretty quiet, soft-spoken guy. I dare say even a little shy. You would not know that this guy has lightning in his hands and feet and is just one of the most talented, skillful drummers playing in, I don't know, I don't want to even say metal or hard rock. He's just an incredible drummer. And we talk about all the finer points of his approach, his gear, and all the fun, nerdy stuff that drummers like to talk about, and get into some of his experiences, which are pretty interesting in itself, just how he got into music, how he knew that music was his calling in life, and how he's been able to keep that going. Check out this interview, and then also check out Heartsick. They're on social media at Heartsick Band. Check them out because they have a new EP that by the time this comes out will have just been released, I think a day or two earlier than the drop of this podcast episode. So listen to Jake, especially if you're a drummer, man. Even if you don't like the kind of music that we're talking about all the time, some of the things that drummers share across music is pretty interesting too. So, I mean, you've heard the theme song for this show. That's me playing that. So obviously not metal, not hard rock kind of guy, but we can bond over the finer points of drumming. So maybe there's some deeper lesson in that too that we can figure out along the way. All right, guys. Here is my interview recorded, probably 2 weeks now ago by the time this drops, with Jake Bryan, the drummer from Heartsick. Go check out their new EP and enjoy the interview. Love you guys. We were talking just before we started recording about No Life a little bit.
Yeah.
So you were in the band when it was still No Life?
Yes, that is correct. I joined No Life I think it was December of 2012. I received an email from Fonzo. They were saying that they needed a new drummer. They're having some issues going on. And I was completely surprised, and I remember he was saying that, I was one of 3 people that they wanted to audition, and he asked if I was interested, and I said yeah, and went to do the audition at his old house up on the north side of town here, and it went well. So,
were you in a band at the time, or how did they know you?
So I knew those guys in the music scene. I was in several bands. I was in band called Prevalent Dreams back in the day, but at the time I was approached by No Life. I was actually in a Final Fantasy rock opera band, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, so and that was different for me because only the bassist lived in Lansing. So our guitar player lived in Buffalo, New York. Another guitar player lived in Austin, Texas.
Oh.
We had our keyboard player living in Raleigh, North Carolina, and our main singer was in Georgia, so in the Atlanta area. So what we did is we met up on Skype a lot, and we kind of, the writers, they wrote a story based off the Final Fantasy series, and we kind of picked songs and did arrangements, and I had to record my own drums, and not professionally, but just enough so we can get demo ideas, and it's a lot of working back and forth, sending files back and forth, and then we'd book a convention and we'd meet up, and if we were lucky enough, we would have an hour of in-person rehearsal time, and then we just go did it, and it was interesting. But yeah,
I was gonna say, man, that's almost sounds like some fantasy metal jazz improv type stuff.
Yeah man, yeah, it was fun, man. It was fun at that time, but
and it was the same kind of, well, not the same kind of music as Heartsick necessarily, but heavier music.
Yes, we definitely did have a lot of heavy elements. We also had a lot of melodic elements too, but I mean, it was for the most part just rearranging Final Fantasy songs. I'm not much of a gamer, but I've really played I really get into Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
So our song called State of the World was based musically, it was based off of the bombing mission of Final Fantasy VII, and we kind of just rearranged the music, and then the singers would write lyrics like based off of Final Fantasy theme, thing. So yeah, it was interesting.
That is interesting. How do you even get hooked up with guys like that?
So I was in another video game cover band called Year 2000X, and I've always wanted to tour. That's all I tour, play drums, and travel the world. That's all I've ever wanted to do since I was a kid.
Yeah.
When I was in Prevalent Dreams, of course, I was 18, 17 at the time. Yeah, I would just wanted to play and travel. And unfortunately, the rest of the guys in 2000X, they started having families and, like getting into wanted to everybody's passions changed into they wanted to go into get a career and whatnot.
Right.
So in this video game scene, it's pretty huge nationally. So we played with a lot of different video game bands, and
I didn't even know that was a genre.
So it's a huge community. But so there's a lot of other different video game bands that we networked that I met through touring with Year 2000X, and they were all in the same kind of situations. They wanted to tour and do music, and so we kind of all decided to try to form our own thing, and and we did that for a little while, and then that kind of fell apart, just dealing with just random life, just fell apart. But
as most bands eventually do.
Yes, yeah.
You said that you've always, since you were little, you wanted to play drums and travel.
Yeah.
So for me, like we were talking about a minute ago, I knew somebody who played guitar and they needed somebody to play drums with. And they were like, my dad has an old drum set he might sell you. Yeah. And it just kind of went from there. So what was your pull into actually picking up sticks and playing?
Well, when I was a kid, my dad was in a bass player, or he was in a band, and he's a bass player. He was in a funk band. And
that's cool.
Yeah. So I remember he would always drag me to his rehearsal practices, and even just going to music stores. We do always go up to Music Manor. Are you familiar where that's at?
Oh yeah, that's where I used to get all my stuff too.
Yeah, I shop there all the time, and I remember just sitting on a chair, just watching him play bass and just being amazed. And there was something about the drums though that really just grabbed me, when I was a kid, I just wanted to just do it, something about
especially playing the funk bass. I mean, there's a lot of percussion in funk bass.
Oh yeah. It was, just something about feeling the vibration, hearing that bass drum just resonate in my chest, that really sparked my interest in the drums. So ever since I was a kid, watching my dad play and being around, he would play in the church too.
Yeah.
So I just fell in love with it. I was a band nerd through middle school and high school, and
I saw those cool pictures from what was that, middle school?
Middle school, yeah. I was in 7th grade, and so I think that's when I really knew. Because when I was in 7th grade, we went to New York City to perform in a battle of bands, and we won first place.
Nice.
And then when I was in 8th grade, we performed at Disney World in Florida. So, I was I'm on a traveling charter bus, with my middle school concert band, and I'm wow, I'm getting to see New York City. I went to the Statue of Liberty, to I got to see the Twin Towers. The two towers, the World Trade Center before it was destroyed. I got to do that, and it was just I don't know, there was nothing else that I wanted to do in life. I thought about, I went to school to work on heating and air conditioning. I went to HVAC school, dropped out of that. I was I just when I dropped out of college, I was in my mid 20s, and I was you know what, I'm just gonna go with it. I'm taking a gamble, but it's
you have life, to though. You feel like you have to, right?
Yeah. In life, it's it's not about how much money you make. It's about what you do with your life and what makes you happy as a person. So
yeah,
that's
looking around right now at all the different concert posters. That's where it's at, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, there's 2000X, and I have so those are some of the No Life the No Life posters that we did. That was in Dallas, Texas, or San Antonio, Texas. And up there, that's another Texas. We were at Reno's Chop Shop in Dallas. I have other posters too. I haven't put them up yet. That is Those Who Fight. That poster up there, or the little flyer right next to that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That the House of Blues. That's actually No Life played at the House of Blues in Chicago. That was that's where I got that pass. I don't know. I kind of save all the memorabilia stuff that we've done. I have a bunch of tour lanyards somewhere in the house, for all the tours that I've done in the past.
Yeah. I met a guy recently who doesn't play, but he follows Humphreys McGee a ton, and he has like actually a big like portfolio book of all the posters that he's bought. Like he's got a ton of them framed and put up around his living room. But he's like, oh dude, I've got like 2 other books just full of those.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those are all the torn lanyards. But, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a few in there.
Yeah, a lot of them are from the video game conventions that I've done with 2000X and Those Who Fight. But yeah, I mean, I've got to travel a lot. I've seen a lot of the United States before I hooked up with the No Life guys. And yeah, so back to the original question. It was 2012 when Fonzo asked if I wanted to audition, and I played my first show. I think it was like January 2013. I was on 2 No Life recordings. We recorded a cover. It was Nerdy by Poison in the Well. We also recorded Blood and Wine. Those 2 No Life recordings I drummed on.
Okay.
And I also drummed on the first Heartsick record.
Right.
So I stepped down a little bit for, I think it was 2014. I was kind of bummed because Heartsick just released the first record sometime in 2014. We did the band name change, and I was just, like at the time there was really no app-based jobs where, like Lyft, Uber, Uber Eats and Grubhub and all that stuff. So it was hard to maintain jobs and maintain the nice, humble lifestyle that I like to live. So, the band makes enough money to keep on going, but like I couldn't afford to do that at that time. So it was a really hard decision. I was really in a bad mood a lot of the times. It's probably really hard to be around because I was just like, I really want to tour. We just released the record. I helped write the record. I, recorded drums on the record, and I really wanted to tour that, but I was not in a financial position to be gone for, a month, 2 months or longer. And yeah, so I had to step down for a little bit, and Nick Killips came back, which is the original No Life drummer. And
Nick was the original drummer?
Yeah, Nick Killips. Yeah,
okay.
He was No Life's original drummer. So when No Life started way back in 1999, I think. So those guys started No Life. I was in my freshman year of high school, and I would go to No Life shows. They would play at Kedzie House a lot. And at that time, I never really got to know the guys. I was just, I went to shows and.
Wait, is that the house that Jared lived with another guy who played bass in a different band?
Yes. Yes. And so I never really knew the guys that much. I would just go to the shows, and I was always kind of like a shy person. I would just go to the show. I would go see No Life there. I remember Flesh and Blood Robot would play there. My friend Rudra, bands during that time. And then I would just go home and I would practice drums, at the same time trying to get my current band off the road, on the road and getting off, on our feet.
I really wanted to talk to you about your drum set.
Okay.
First of all, I'm a Pearl guy. I have no issue with Tama.
Yeah.
They're fine.
Yeah.
I'm not a ride or die, but that's just what I happen to have. Mm-hmm. What's your preferred brand?
So my preferred brand is Tama. I love their Star Classic Maple series.
Yeah.
I think they are, it's all personal preference at the end of the day. Pearl makes excellent kits. Export series are pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I used to. Well, I still have it. It just never gets played anymore. I got a dark red Pearl Export series.
Nice. For me, what kind of on drum level, for me, what made me kind of lean towards Tama was specifically their hardware, like the StarCast mounting system for Pearl, you actually had to, put the mount the tom through penetrating the actual drum.
Right. There's like a
So
male
it's
end
like
that goes into the bass drum that you have to take and put through the female end on the tom and then screw that to the piece.
And then you have to, same thing with when you're mounting the toms to the mounting bracket there, it's like the tama, like
that one's more of like a sleeve, right? It just
It kind of like it's hard to explain. I guess it would be easier if I just had one, so I gotta show you. But I always thought like having a piece of metal inside the drum would affect the tone of the drum somehow. I mean, that's just what kind of gravitated me towards Tama, because like their mounting system was just, I thought, was a lot nicer. But
and I had friends. I didn't play in the school band. I got into music like in like middle school and just did garage band stuff.
Yeah.
But there was a friend of mine who was a really good drummer, and he was trying to tell me, he's like, yeah, man, Pearl, those are kind of like jazz drums, and Tama are like rock drums. And I was like, well, whatever. I play rock with them and it works. But
yeah, well, I mean, it's also like like there's a lot of different things that can contribute to what tone and sound you want to get out of your drums. I mean, down to that what kind of heads you have on your drums. So
yeah,
like Pearl, I think more jazz drummers and funk drummers do use Pearl more.
Yeah.
And more of the metal drummers, it's just more of like, they would use the Tama brand a lot. But
I felt like, and maybe it was just the way that I tuned mine too, but I always felt like when you hit a tom on a Pearl, it's kind of like doom.
Yeah.
And when you hit a tom, it's doo.
Yeah. I mean, and that's if you have any like you can have some rings there or some internal mufflers to kind of dampen that resonance there in the tom, or or whatever. But now everything is just so digitally, like on a record, like just like on the Heartsick record, it's like I played all the drums, but then they get replaced with the MIDI sound. So it's like well, what's the point of tracking drums if it's just going to be like it's but that's the, with how technology progressed over the years in metal music, everything is just really overly compressed and just quantized and just super punchy, and it sounds great. Don't get me, I love the way that sounds, but I do miss that organic,
the old record sound where you had the record.
And where you
in
can
the background,
you can actually hear, you can tell that there's actually human beings playing the instruments.
Every now and then you'll hear two sticks hit together or something like that.
I kind of miss that, like organicness, in music.
Yeah,
but I mean, I can't deny how awesome and tight everything sounds now with how the production and
right,
how much that's evolved through the years.
So did you have? Well, I know you must have. Here, let me reframe this. When I was playing in a band in like middle school and early high school, we were like a rock band. We kind of cut our teeth playing like Nirvana a lot.
Yeah.
And then we started moving into slightly heavier stuff. And then our bass player got really into like Pantera and Sepultura.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, dude, you got to learn how to play drums like this dude from Sepultura. And I was like, I don't think I'll ever be able to do that.
Igor Cavalera, man, that dude is. Oh, I want to let me go back. The original drummer for Sepultura, their current drummer now, he's a monster. I can't remember his name, but the original drummer for Sepultura, Igor Cavalera, that dude is just incredible. Like the first time I heard the Territory, that song Territory, I don't know, that opening drum thing, I was like, what the hell is he doing? Like it blew my mind, dude. But yeah, that dude is on another level, and he's
So there's drummers that I was always like, someday I'd like to be able to play like that. Neil Peart was one.
Yeah.
I can't say his name, but the dude you were just saying from Sepultura, and there's a few others. But then there were guys who like, I was like, oh, you know what? I can kind of do some of the things they do. And I remember it might sound lame because they're like just such a popular band, but Blink-182 and Travis Barker.
Travis Barker's awesome.
That dude, I was like, oh my God, he uses his hi-hats for fills.
Yeah.
I never even thought of that.
Yeah.
Like just little things like that. Who are some of the drummers where you were like, I'm going to take pieces of their style and make it mine?
Oh man, that's a lot. I mean,
Or do you remember specifically being like, I'm going to learn to play that song?
I would have to say, couple things come to mind. We already said Igor, that song Territory. I had to learn how to play that song. Mike Portnoy, of course, from Dream Theater, or used to be in Dream Theater. He's in Winery Dogs now.
And say all I ever hear from him now is that he called somebody out and he's like loves pissing people off.
Yeah. I mean, I hear he's really hard to work with, but I mean, the dude is just,
When you're a genius, though, that probably comes with the territory.
Yeah, I mean, I know, one thing is, that band is just Dream Theater is huge for what they do. 6 o'clock was the song that I had to learn how to play. When I heard that song, it's off of their album Awake, and when I heard Mike Portnoy, it starts out with his opening drum beat. I was like, oh my God, it's kind of like this like funk beat. It's kind of hard, like funk syncopated beat.
Yeah.
But I was like, how the hell is he doing that? And I just like listen to it over and over and over again to just break it down and just, but yeah,
I had to do the same thing with, oh God, what's the name of the song? I think it's called Fool in the Rain by Led Zeppelin.
Oh, yeah, that shuffle beat, man. That shuffle beat is John Bottom's an amazing drummer too, and that goes to that's actually a really good example of what I was talking about earlier about like recording, like on an engineering level, like that band, like Led Zeppelin records, dude, like it's just so raw, organic.
Yeah.
There's like it's you know what I mean? Like you can tell that they're humans playing the part, like John Bottom like is an animal on the drums, and like it's just that organic feel from
what pisses me off, I gotta mention this while it's still fresh in my mind, is I heard Keith Richards one time talking shit about John Bonham, saying like he's just a heavy-handed guy. Anybody can smash the drums.
Wow.
It takes style or what precision to play it smoothly, and he couldn't do that. Something to that effect.
Yeah.
And I was just like, Keith Richards, you can eat a dick.
Yeah. That's the thing about, musicians, and I guess not just with musicians, but like everybody's entitled to their opinion, and it's like I think John Bottom's great. I mean, like he's influenced a lot of drummers out there, whether those drummers know it or not.
I feel like he's the blueprint, the original blueprint for metal drummers, even though it wasn't, I don't know if people were calling it metal at the time, but
I agree with you 100% on that. But yeah, I mean,
because he was doing triplets on his bass pedal before anybody was even doing doubles, what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's just, he was super creative, man. He was super creative and that's what I love about watching a lot of different drummers, man, because everybody has their own creativity, you know what I mean? And like I like to try to watch and learn from everybody, and that it's just kind of incorporate my own style to it.
Well, part of the reason, besides I just really like Heartsick, but part of the reason why I wanted to talk to you was that even though you're much more talented at the drums than I am, and I can say that man. I can say that fairly because you've been playing up until now. I kind of trailed off at like 17, but
for sure.
Your style is one that I think shows a lot of skill, but also a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Not patience, but just I'll just stick with skill, because like the Sepultura drummer, we were talking about him earlier. You listen to him, it's just all the time.
Yeah.
And that's cool. There's a place for that. And it's Sepultura.
Yeah.
But then you'll have drummers who are like the exact opposite of that, like your Ringo Starr, where you can count 12 songs maybe where you heard like, oh, that was an interesting fill, but most of the time it's just a good beat.
Yeah.
And it takes somebody to be able to put their ego aside, because you have a lot of skill. I've seen you do things that I go, wow. But then to not want to be like just doing it all the time and go, I need to just support the song sometimes.
Yeah.
That's something that I think it takes a while for a lot of drummers to get to. Were you ever like, I'm just gonna go wild, woo?
I feel like in my younger days, I had that, mentality, I guess. I'm like, oh, look what I can do, and that over time, as I grew and like got a little bit more mature, I guess, it's not about me. You know what I mean? Like, it's about the band and what the band wants to represent.
Yeah.
So
There'll be that moment on stage where everybody parts the seas and goes, ladies and gentlemen, Jake.
Yeah, and if that ever were to happen, then where I do a drum solo or whatever, that's would be whatever that is. You know what I mean? But I feel like as a band, it's never about one person. It's about 4 or 5 people, whoever is in that band. With Heartsick particularly, it's about us 4. You know what I mean? And what would complement for like us as a whole and as a unit, and what what we want to represent with the song. Each song that is this going to have a dynamic, like heavy part? Should I put a flashy part here, or should it just be groove, laid back, and maybe a little bit ambience here? But yeah, I mean, I guess I was guilty of that when I was in my younger years, where I'm like, super fast and like, but now it's like, whatever the song calls for. Yeah. Like I try to focus on that,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Cause there's some of the best songs of all time, getting out of metal genre a little bit, but like, what's the song by the Beatles? There are places I remember in my life. That's the name of it. My life. And it's just bass, snare, hi-hat, bass, snare, bass, snare, hi-hat for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But it works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People go, oh, Ringo sucks at drums. Does he? Because every song has a groove to it, man.
Yeah.
Every song has a groove to it.
He's keeping the time, and, he's keeping the groove, and, I think that does not make anybody a shitty, drummer or whatever.
And honestly, his fills are really, really weird because, the story behind why he plays the way he does?
No.
He plays a right-handed kit, but he's actually left-handed.
Okay.
So he leads everything with his left hand instead of his right.
Yeah.
So when you do that, you've got to do kind of a do-do-do, do-do-do, a-doodle-doo. You got to put in these weird spaces so that you can get your hands to the drums at the right time.
Yeah.
So he's like, I wasn't trying to be off timing and cool. I have to go with my left hand first. So it sounds weird.
Yeah. And that actually brings up just made me think of a point there. Like, I'm naturally right-handed, but when I really started like diving into drums, like really trying to, like, I was like in high school, like just really, I would set up my kit left-handed. So in a sense, I made myself become ambidextrous, where I can use both my right hands and right and left hands. And I just took that and just incorporated that to the drumming. You know what I mean? So like I can, like if I'm playing like a rock beat, I can switch hands and play the same. I'll play the chord notes with my left hand and the eighth notes with my right hand. Just switch it back and forth. The same thing with my feet. Like drumming, like talking about drums is rudimental. You know what I mean? Like the basic elements of drums is just rudiments. And I was a marching band, so I was just taking all those rudiments and like, you know what, I'm going to try to do those with my feet, and then you can just do them with on the bass drum, and then once have the rudiments down, it just comes to creativity there. How can I incorporate this to a song, or how can I make this heavy, or how can I come up with a groove with, for a certain part. So yeah, that's just what made me, when you said that he was left-handed, that's what just made me think. I was like, oh, I can,
that would be
literally like force myself to play a left-handed kit for a while.
That would be a great exercise for a drummer, and one that if I were to play again, I would love to try doing, because I notice when I watch guys like Frank Beard from ZZ Top, that dude can roll his left hand just as good as he can roll his right hand, and I cannot do as much with my left as I can do with my right. I know that I can't. And it's always bothered me. And it's something that, I'll sit there and try to work the left hand, and then I just eventually would be like,
Yeah.
I just want to rock. I know how to do it this way.
Yeah. And I was like that too. I could not, my whole left side, like I couldn't write with my left hand. Now I can write with my left hand.
Legibly?
Well,
Like, does it look like a 5-year-old?
actually, even my current writing is illegible. So I mean, so no, but
It's as good as the right.
it's as good as the right. But even though my right isn't good at all, so it's like, oh, what is that? A P or is that a T or is that? I don't know. I don't even know what the fuck I'm writing.
It's a hieroglyph.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So, but yeah, I had to really work on that. I forced myself to work on that because I wanted to get my left hand and my left side of the body just equal strength as my right. So, I would remember my my mom was a very patient woman, just practicing drums, all through my, teens and
Did you have a practice pad? Be like, hey,
no,
hit the pad for a while.
I did.
Get off those drums.
Yeah, I did have a practice pad, but once I was in the zone,
those are no fun.
Yeah, I had to get on the kid and do it, and so, but essentially, whenever I work on a piece, I try to just do it, on my lap.
Yeah,
I just start out that first, and
I play the drums on my stomach when I'm standing up, on my lap. And my son will walk up when I'm doing it, and he'll just start hitting me on the stomach.
Nice.
I'm like, oh, yep, Daddy's drumming, isn't he, buddy?
Yeah, that's awesome. Do any of your kids show interest in music?
Yep.
Nice.
My oldest kid did choir. She's actually in college now.
Oh, nice.
But she was in the choir. The second one is in middle school now. Plays violin, and she's in the choir.
Awesome.
Not sure which one she wants to carry on with, but, she's got till high school to pick one, I guess.
Yeah.
And then my older boy has recently said that he wants to learn to play the piano.
Nice.
And then the younger one, he loves picking up the drumsticks and even just banging on the floor tom. I'll just set the floor tom up, and he'll just boom, 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 boom.
That's awesome.
Boom, boom, boom.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
And they all love playing my guitar too. Whenever I'm trying to play it,
nice.
I want to play too. You never want to play when it's sitting on the stand over there.
Well, they see you playing it and it's like, now I want to play. Oh, let me try.
So I'll make the chords and they'll play the strings.
That's cool. Very cool. Very cool, man.
Yeah, I want to get him more instruments though, because actually that's an interesting point, because I'm not I'm all self-taught.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you're self-taught, you're really taught by other musicians who just give you tips. But
yes.
But you have actually learned how to play. You know how to read music, right?
A little bit, yes. I haven't read music in a very long time, but I mean the concept is there. I mean, it's just like riding a bike. Yeah, I do know how to read music.
But even when you were practicing your sheet music and your songs, you would still take time and just jam, right?
Oh yes.
That's what kids don't do anymore.
Yeah.
Kids are like, I have to practice the sheet music. La 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 la. I have to practice my scales. It's like, have you ever just written a song? Well, I don't know how to write a song. Well, play a note and then search for another note that sounds good after that one.
Yeah.
And then search for another note that sounds good after that one.
Yeah.
And they're like, huh? It's like, just play with it. Just play with it. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
But kids don't do that very much now. At least the kids that are, at least my kids, the ones that are like taking classes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But oh God, the bass player, the really good bass player, black dude, dreads, short dreads.
Victor Wooten.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I saw a talk that he gave where he said the best way to learn an instrument is the same way you learn to talk.
Yeah.
Just
do it.
Just go ba 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 ba, and people go, no, not quite. Keep trying. Ba 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 ba. No. Yes, no, poop, pee. Oh, those are words. Oh, I'm getting it. Like learn that way. But I don't know. There's so much. Same thing with school. Like people don't like learning things because the way that they learn them in school is boring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I tried to teach things that were fun, and I had administrators come up to me and they're like, hey, your room's a little bit too loud. It's like, they're learning in there. Well, yeah, but they should be quiet. Well, I think learning can be noisy.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and it's all like, basically, I think what it comes down to is, the individual, you know what I mean? Like if they have the interest in it. And I think the challenge but it sounds like you have that down. I mean, because like you said you were a teacher.
Yeah.
Like you were making that learning interesting.
I tried to.
And that's,
try to get them up out of their seats talking to each other.
And because
if they're talking about something, as long as if they're making too much noise, but they're talking about something that you want them to be talking about,
Yeah.
it's because they're excited.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't tell them to be quiet and sit down and write a paper and nobody talk for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with you. You know, I wish more teachers, like, especially when I was in school, were like that. You know what I mean? So,
You and me both. I got sent out of the class a lot. Well,
yeah.
I mean, I'm still pretty, like, I wake up at 5 o'clock most mornings just ready to go.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, so my motor has always been running pretty hot. Did yours?
Oh yeah, yes. I'd wake up and you know, I was always kind of like a early bird. You know, like I'd always wake up, even till now. I mean, I'm up at like 6 a.m. and just ready to go. You know, like
Yeah. I was so hyper. I got kicked out of Mr. McCachran's 8th grade history class probably every other day.
Yeah, yeah. I remember I would like in so on the off band or on the off season of marching season. So in marching band during football season it was marching band, but then after football season is over, it was in symphonic band. You know, so I would always get the drummers to, you know, whenever the band does the warm up scales, the da 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 da. You know, I would always have them put like a funk beat to it, like put. And then it would just like always like piss off our band director, but you know, it was all in good fun, you know. Just
it's always the drummers too, dude. Because even in band practice, I remember my the singer would be like, "Dude, can you stop for a second? I'm trying to learn to sing and play the song at the same time." Like, oh god, this is boring. You just sit there for a second while they're wing, 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 tune in. Like, dude.
Yeah, I'm definitely guilty of that as well. You know, especially in my younger years. You know, the guys are trying to tune or whatever, and I'm like, you know, whatever. But you know, it's just now that I'm in. I'm gonna be 37 in a few days, and like I don't know, I've just been doing this for a long time, and just have a different perspective on the world and on what in my life and how I can manage both to, you know.
Well, I got to believe that since smartphones, drummers have been a lot less annoying.
Yeah.
While guitarists are tuning.
Yes. Because I was checking Facebook or whatever social media platform they prefer. But yeah, you know, I would have to agree with you on that one too. It's kind of chilled a lot of people out.
Let me talk to you about set for a second. Well, your drum set.
Yeah.
So a lot of times guys who are in, and do you consider yourself a metal band, Heartsick?
No, you know, I think I don't like genres in general.
But everybody wants to know what you are.
I mean, I guess you could call us a metal band. I think that we are not just a metal band. I think Heartsick has different.
I mean, I hear punk in there too. You know?
Oh yeah, it's one of the things that
and the new stuff even has a little bit, almost not like techno, but like almost like a 9 Inch Nails kind of, almost a little bit of an industrial vibe to it, like on Thrill of the Hunt.
Yeah. And even the newer stuff that's not released yet, like there's like, you know, we're about to release this an EP. I think that's what's in the works. I'm not sure if I can talk about that. I'm sure we could, but well,
suffice to say there will be more stuff coming out, so
yeah,
stay tuned.
There's a lot more. Like, I mean, after these 5 songs that we release soon, I mean, we have like another 18 songs, I think. It's just been.
Is it all just pandemic songs?
It's.
I mean, that song's about the pandemic. No, stuff that was written during the pandemic.
Yes. It's very
Not all about. It'd be the most depressing album of all time.
Yeah.
Today was just like yesterday, and tomorrow's gonna suck too.
Oh yeah. Exactly. No, you know, it's just, you know, obviously the pandemic really affected everybody in the world, but like for Heartsick, like we've all been just used to playing, you know, like on the weekends, going away, like doing a regional thing or going on a tour like for a month or, you know, like, and what really, really sucks is the tours that we had lined up for the pandemic, you know, like that are still being postponed. And it's just like,
because there was a show that you guys were supposed to do over in my neck of the woods where you guys were going to be one of the bands opening up for Disturbed or somebody, right?
Yeah, so I think that's still going on. So it's It's called Upheaval Festival.
Yeah.
And we're playing on the same day if it still happens. And as far as I am aware of, it's happening still. It hasn't been canceled. It was supposed to be last year, of course, but like it got pushed back to July of this year. So I mean, obviously, with anything in the world, it's all tentative at this point. But like,
every time anybody announces anything, we would like to have this ready by August of 2021.
Yeah. So who knows? You know, it's at this point, I know that I haven't heard anything that it's canceled or postponed again.
Well, I'm sure all the bands are just waiting, like just chomping at the bit, like, please let us play.
Yeah. And you know, that's gonna be fun, you know, like to share a stage with those guys and like, to open up.
The first time that you guys get back on stage in front of like a regular room full of people, I'm just, one of you guys is going to hurt yourself. I know it. Like, you're going to be so amped that you're going to break the stage or yourselves. I
think I can speak for the rest of the guys in Heartsick that we're all ready to get out there. And like, we all have that. It's like, it's like an itch, you know, like you can't scratch. It's like, God, we miss it, you know?
Yeah.
And
it's so funny too, because like, I told you, I think earlier, I don't think I'd mentioned it yet, that I have known Waylon for some time.
Yeah.
We haven't kept in touch over the years a ton, but we go back to like teenager days.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
Playing shows in high school, I think. And he's kind of a shy dude, didn't want to come on the podcast. You're kind of a shy dude.
Yeah.
And from what I know of Jared, he's not like conversationally shy, but he's not going to be a dude who's like, I'll be on a podcast.
Yeah.
But you guys all, when you play, like, you just seem like you're in a different place. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's definitely.
Do you feel any like, I gotta really just let go? Or when you start playing, does everything else like beyond the other three guys just kind of fade out?
No. I feel like there's a chemistry there with all three of the guys there. And if anything, when Fonzo approached me about joining No Life back in 2012, you know, like, I've always watched No Life. I was always a fan of No Life. And one of the things that I've always loved about that band was how much energy they bring. And I'm holy fuck, these guys just fucking bring it, you know, like just Fonzo, Waylon, and Jared are just like all over the place, like just tons of energy. And I
imagine Waylon like wearing a neck brace the next morning after every show.
I remember one time we were playing in Traverse City as No Life. This was way before the Heartsick days. This was we were opening up for the band In This Moment. And this was before In This Moment got huge. We were playing at a club called Streeters in Traverse City, Michigan, which is about 3 hours from here, I think, and 3 hours northwest. And we immediately after he got off stage, it was just like straight backstage and just puking all over the place. I was just like, oh my God, there's so much puking by their tour bus. And I'm like, oh fuck, like it was brutal. But I mean, you know, that's the kind of energy that band has, you know, and it's kind of intimidating. Like, I'm like, okay, so I'm going to be sitting behind the drums, and what can I do to add to that? So it's like, no, when on stage, none of those three guys go away. I think it's all like, it kind of just, we all get in a zone.
Well, no, that's what I meant was like, not that they disappear, but everything outside of what's happening with those three guys.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Do you even like when you're right in the middle of a song and you're looking somebody in the band right in the eyes and just, do you even feel the presence in that moment of the people watching you or no?
Yes and no. I think it comes in, for me personally, it comes in and out. Because I feel like I'm just so, I guess I kind of just get lost. That's a really good question, by the way.
Especially with you, because the drummer is really driving the band. Like, if you want a song to be fast, you just count it fast.
Well, not anymore. Well, with Heartsick, we all have inner ears now, so we all have a click. But before we switched to the in-ear monitor system, it was just me playing to the click. So like when I was, I think it was the first band, because I played click tracks to other bands, but this was the first band that really made me had to focus like on the click.
Yeah.
So like when we first started doing that, I remember it was when we released the first Heartsick record. That's when we started playing the click tracks. And at that time, it was just me. I only heard the click, you know. So like, if I got off from the click, we sequenced some things live that, you know, the other guy, if I got off from the click, the other guys wouldn't know it unless the things were coming out of the PA speakers like at the wrong time.
Right.
So I never really had an issue with the click, but I did at first trying to have that connect there, you know what I mean? Because like I'm constantly hearing the click in my ear, the metronome in my ear. So that was a little bit of a learning experience. That took away a little bit of that from just having the raw feel, like no click, you know, just
100% in the moment.
Yeah. So, yeah, now it's like, now we all have the click, we all hear that, and that's relatively new. I think we've only played a couple of private parties, like very, very small parties, since the pandemic. But we really haven't played a full show with our new in-ear monitor system yet.
Well, yeah, I wanted to ask you about the vinyl release concert that you guys did online. You guys had the click going for that stuff too, right?
Yeah,
because you have like, I don't know what you call it, like backing tracks.
Yep.
That go on too. So I would imagine once you start incorporating that stuff into live shows, that having that track telling you like it's almost a must.
Yes,
right?
It is. Yeah, especially for the newer stuff. I mean, there's a lot of with the new Heartsick music. There's a lot of ambient elements to it that we do sequence live, and I think it adds to the song. I love it personally.
Yeah,
I love it. I think it adds a whole other element to our live sound that we can.
I like it too visually. Just like when you see like the drummer kind of like straightening up, and the guys on the guitars just kind of shaking their arms out, but then there's still like, you know, that voice playing or like some siren or some kind of like kind of noise, like you just know like, oh shit, something's about to happen. You know?
And you know, I'm really excited to play, you know, once obviously we all want this pandemic to be over with so we can return to normal life, but with one of the I think that with our in-ear monitor system, like our live shows has the potential to change so much, like with dynamics, because I won't have to count the guys in, you know what I mean? Like it would just be really cool. We have like the backing tracks, or like we have, so like in between our songs we normally have these tracks that play while the other guys are tuning, and you know, I think it would add more dynamics that we just kick into stuff, you know what I mean? Like without having just 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. It just like we all have the click, it's just right there, you know. Like, so I'm really excited to play shows again, especially with our in-ear system, because of those new dynamics that we could add to the live performance. So
sorry about my phone.
Oh, no worries, there. Man. No worries.
2 questions. I'm going to say them both now so I don't forget them.
Okay.
I want to talk to you specifically about the setup that you use.
Okay.
And the other question is already starting to fade out of my mind, so we'll see if it comes back to me.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your drum setup, because I think I tried to go here, but it ended up going into a different question. A lot of times when you see drummers that play metal or just even harder music, a lot of times the inclination is to get like 2 bass drums, 5 toms, a rototom, 2 floor toms, 18 cymbals, a gong. You keep your stuff pretty simple. Like if somebody just walked up to the kit and said, "What kind of music you think this guy plays?" Be like, probably rock, maybe even some jazz.
Yeah.
Like, so what did you want to kind of keep the same elements to your kit that like maybe previous drummers had to not change the sound too much, or was that the kit that you brought in?
Well, I mean, I think obviously visually a big kit looks cool. You have more options, but I also like the concept where less is more.
Yeah.
And
because I feel like people that have big drums, you could take a so-so drummer and give him a gigantic set, and he'll sound kind of good just because he can make a bunch of different sounds.
Yeah.
But if you take a so-so drummer and just give him a 4-piece set, he's going to be like, all right, I don't know.
What do I do here?
It's like, how many tricks do you know now that you can make this sound good?
Yeah. And that's why I like that, because it pushes me to try to be more creative.
Yeah.
With certain fills or just with, just in general, like,
because I didn't know if maybe the band imposed it on you, like when they recorded Guns N' Roses recorded "Appetite for Destruction."
Yeah.
Their drummer originally had a way bigger set, and they said he was doing a ton of fills, and so when they showed up, they like hid half of his drums and just made him play on a small set. They're like, "Sorry, dude, this is what we got. You got to play that." And he, all right.
Yeah, no, like with the Heartsick guys, no, there's nothing like that. We all have what's the word I'm looking for? We're all open to do what we want to do. If it's, if
nobody's like, hey man, that's not really in our sound.
Yeah, nobody's gonna be like, oh, that's too much or whatever. It's like, if they don't like it, they don't like it, and like we just move on. But like, everybody has like an open say, to it. So like nobody's like, no, dude, you have to play a 4-piece and it has to be like this. There's really no dictatorship.
Yeah.
Like,
it's too many cymbals, bro.
Yeah. And you can never have too many cymbals. I call it spice, you just add the spice into it, But I especially splash cymbals and stuff. Like I would love to have that there, but I just don't want it there now because it's like there's
your basic kit, like the one that I saw yesterday. I was watching that whole concert. It looked like you were playing snare, mounted tom, floor tom, bass, and hi-hat, splash, 2 crash, ride, and like a China cymbal.
Almost, yeah. There's no splash in there. Basically it's just a basic 4-piece. I have it kind of changes it. We have quite a bit of kits in there, and so
I've seen the videos. It looks like there's like 3 or 4 different kits in the recording or in the practice space there.
Yeah. So it depends on what kit that I'm playing on, but for the most part, it's basic 4-piece. Sometimes I'll add another tom right by the hi-hat. It all depends on what I'm feeling at that time, but for the most part, it's just a general 4-piece kit with a hi-hat, 1 ride cymbal, 2 crashes, and a China.
Okay.
But I used to in other bands. I had a pearl rack. I had 3 rack toms, a floor tom, a 14-inch on my right, 16-inch on my left. I had a bunch of cymbals, and unless we were like, I don't know, like if we had roadies.
Right. Maybe, if you didn't have to set it up yourself every night.
even then, even if we didn't have it, I still am happy playing with what we're playing with now, like what I'm playing on right now.
Yeah.
It's just it pushed me more on a creative level to like push myself on how can I make this interesting with what I have in front of me. I don't need to have like 18,000 toms or whatever to try to sound
totally
cool or whatever.
Totally. Yeah. I did I did a pretty similar setup to yours actually. When I was playing, I had a hi-hat, and then I had 2 splash cymbals, but one of them I didn't care for that much. I had one that was like really small, and it was just really fun.
Yeah.
And I'd have that right next to the hat.
Yeah.
Then trying to think, a 14-inch crash, 16-inch crash, a huge, like almost huge, biggest ever I've seen ride cymbal.
Yeah.
And then usually, I would have the snare. I would take the big mounted tom, put that over the snare, leave the other one off, floor tom.
Nice.
Yeah.
What kind of cymbals do you use? What's your preference on cymbals?
I used all Zildjians.
Nice. Zildjians are great.
I especially liked that big, huge, heavy ride that I found at Music Manor used.
Yeah.
The only way I could only tell it was Zildjian because it had the stamp on it.
Yeah.
But I don't even know if they make those anymore. It was like 32 inches or 34. It was.
Wow.
I sold it to another drummer when I was like, I should sell the cymbals to somebody who's going to use them. Yeah. And I sold it to a guy who gigs, and he was like, holy shit, I've never seen a cymbal this big before. I was like, I know, right?
Yeah.
He's like, what is it? It's a Zildjian. He's like, no, they don't make them that big. I was like, it must be from the 70s, bro.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's cool. Yeah. I like Zildjian. I like Sabian. Yeah.
You're not a pasty guy?
Pasties are nice. I like them, but I feel like they're definitely cool. Nick Barker played on them a lot. He used to drum for Dimmu Borgir. He used to drum for Cradle of Filth. He used to drum for a band called Lockup or Lockjaw or Lock something. But yeah, I don't even know what he's doing. I don't know if he's in any active bands now, but he was one of my biggest influences at that time. But he was endorsed by Pasty, and they make cool cymbals, but I was more of a Zildjian Sabian guy.
Yeah. I know drummers will they'll get mad at each other. Like,
Yeah.
bro, no, don't tell me that a Sabian is better than a Zildjian.
Yeah. And it's just, and again, it all comes down to personal preference.
Yeah.
Know? So it's like, because I've definitely been there. I've got into arguments with my other drummer buddies when I was younger. I'm like, oh, this is better. Oh no, this is better. Oh, this is better because it's their quality is better. They make more varieties of cymbals, and it's like, well, at the end of the day, it's just like it's all. No, you like it, cool. That's awesome. We can have different opinions on things, and it'd still be cool.
And some guys were all like, I got to get the. I'm trying to think what they were called. The Zildjian made different lines, and there were some that were gold and shiny as hell.
The
and then there were some that looked real dirty.
Yeah.
And I never. Some people were like, I'm just gonna try to get all that one line of them. But my splash was it had the purple stamp on it. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
The other ones were just the normal dirty ones, and the other one was I don't know.
Yeah.
If I could remember what any of them were called, it would sound better than the and the But yeah, I just same thing. I would go in there and I'd be like.
Yeah.
Nope, don't like that one. Nope, don't like that one. Ding ding ding. Yep, I like that one.
This one's cool. I know. Yeah, they Zildjian, they had the Z custom series, they had the A series, they had the Aveda series.
That's what it was. The A's and the customs. Yeah.
Yeah. And same thing with Sabians. They have the AAs, the AXs, the HHX, they have so many different spin-offs, series of symbols, and they all are great for what they are. I
just always felt bad because mine looked like such a mutt set of my my ride symbol looked like it was made out of iron. My splash was shiny.
Yeah.
And none of them looked like they should go together. And none of them technically none of them did go together, but they produced nice sounds.
Yes, they do. Mino is actually a pretty cool symbol. They I've been looking at Mino. They have I can't remember what it's called, but they're a dark series symbols where they're all black. The symbols are all black, and
they look like those fake ones that you use in music videos and stuff.
Almost. They're but the tone of the sound of the symbols, they just sound incredible. They sound really cool. They have a nice dark tone to them, and pretty cool symbols.
I need to get symbols back because I tried to sell my whole drum set, dude. It is hard to sell a drum set right now.
Oh yeah.
There's not a lot of people buying drum sets. You want to sell a guitar, somebody will pick that up same day.
Yeah.
You put a drum set online and it's, would you take $50 less?
A lot of the haggling and.
Yeah. It's not, unfortunately, doesn't seem like there's a ton of people picking up drums right now.
Yeah. And I don't know if, even when I was a kid, it didn't seem like there was a lot of drummers around.
If you played drums, you could find a band.
You could find a band easily, I still get, offers, people sending me messages. Hey man, do you have time to do a side project, or you have time to do this? And I'm like, I wish I had time to do that, oh, this seems pretty cool, but I'm just really busy right now, it's just, it's nothing, personal, but it's just there's no drummers out there. Nobody plays drum. I don't know why, at least in this area, I'm not sure
right by me, the music store by me, it used to be Firehouse Music, and now it's just Firehouse Guitars. They were like, we couldn't sell enough drums to make it worth it to keep ordering them.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally love drums. I don't know. Like I said, I come from a musical family, and ever since I was a kid, just something about the drums, the feeling, the energy of the drums just really got me. And I was like, I really want to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
I 100% know what you mean, because I would come home from school, especially if it was a day when I was like, oh God, I just hated that.
Mm-hmm.
I would come home and just rock until my parents got home, and then they'd be like, all right, we're home. We're making dinner.
Yeah.
Go take a shower now and then come have dinner.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to somebody who's like me and has small kids, as far as pushing them into music early? Because I mean, you came from a musical family, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
I came from my dad loves music, has a great appreciation, a huge vinyl collection.
Yeah.
And it's everything from Richard Pryor to Beethoven to, he's got some funk, and well, he started listening to rap, in CD era, but now his CD collection too. He really likes Eminem and Dr. Dre.
Me too, man. Me too.
Yeah.
I love him.
So, I always had that appreciation for music, but nobody was like, here, pick up an instrument. So what do you think, man? Just like go buy somebody a first act guitar or a drum set when they're little, or?
I mean, I wouldn't go off and buy anything right away. I would see if they have interest in it. And then once, if they do have interest in it, like a lot, I mean, I did teach lessons for a little bit.
Oh, yeah?
I taught a couple of students, and one of the things is, like kids will are they still going to have like interest in it, but before I would go like buying like a kid a guitar or drums to see like how bad do they want to do this, because a kid they could think they want to do it like for about a week, a month, 2 months, and then they want the next thing. They're getting hooked in by video games or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I definitely saw a lot of kids who were like, "Ooh, I want to play the drums," and then like we all got drums, and then they were like, "Eh."
Yeah. I remember before I was bought my first, or before my grandpa bought me my first kit, like I always told him, I want to play drums. I want to play drums. He's like, all right, cool. And I come from a pretty big family, that's like, I had to wait for a long time before I got my first drum set. Actually, I had my first drum set when I was 4 years old, but then I outgrew that. And then I didn't show any interest in it until I was about like 10, 11. And I was about 13, just past 3 years, I really want to play drums. And my grandpa was like, he calls me up. He's like, all right, I'm going to come pick you up. We got to go like build these cabinets for your grandma. And I'm like, oh, fuck, like, God damn it. I'm like, I got to go do more work. I got to do more chores. And then he pulls up, and him and my grandma pull up to come pick me up. And I see this big fucking red bass drum in the back seat of the car, and I just like shat myself, dude. I'm like, holy fuck. I was just like, I was ecstatic. And I still love, and I still have that kit. It's in their basement, but
oh, you don't take it on tour?
No, yeah. It was one of those intro kits. It was a company called Max with 2 X's. So I think it maybe was like $200 at Music Manor, but like I still as a fond memory that I still enjoyed through all these years. And but yeah, I would just see like, if the kid shows interest in drums or music, guitar, piano, whatever, and see how, I would definitely encourage it, and always be supportive for what they want to do.
For sure.
But we'll see. Like if I would, because obviously it's music instruments are really expensive. So like,
they definitely can. If you want to go in the higher end,
yeah. So it's definitely an investment. But like,
well, let me ask you this then too, because I came to the drums with just a lot of enthusiasm and the enthusiasm of some people that needed a drummer.
Yeah.
But it was mostly a lot of me trying to figure things out and like just trying to duplicate or replicate sounds that I as best I could.
Yeah.
Or somebody would be like, hey, this is how you do a triplet. Do. Now do it faster. Oh, okay. I'll just keep practicing on that.
Yeah.
But for somebody who's playing already and whether they're taking lessons or not, like play all the time, but would you say, yeah, man, if you really want to push yourself, get lessons, or is it, in the day of YouTube, could somebody get just as much out of that?
I think it all depends on how you learn. What's best. It all goes down to the individual. So some people are best taught by diving into it themselves and like, researching themselves. Some people need a little bit more guidance. And
the kind of people that don't like to read the directions and just start putting it together.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it all comes down to the individual and how they learn. And, but for me personally, I was get into it. You know what I mean? Like I would just, even before my grandpa bought me my first drum set as a, 10, 13-year-old, like I was drumming on pots and pans, and like,
dude, I made a fake drum set out of boxes.
Yeah. I would in school. I would take my paper and kind of just like stretch it off to the side and just use that as a snare drum. And now in my head, that was my snare drum. And I was
because that paper would get just a little bit of a
snap to it. And so a lot of my, I'm in history class. I'm just, trying to come up with beats, and you're just not listening to whatever the lesson was. And because I was just so immersed, and I just wanted to play drums.
I always wanted to be playing.
Like, that's all I did at that time. And like,
you probably heard a whole lot of, can you stop doing that?
Yeah. Stop.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I got a lot of that all the time. And but yeah, that's yeah.
All right. The last thing that I want to focus on here was something that I didn't ask Alfonso, even though I meant to. And be honest, don't be afraid to embarrass your guitar players.
Yeah.
Do they practice their stage moves?
No, I don't think so. When we practice, we've never choreographed anything.
Well, not even like, let's all jump at the same time, but like, I remember going to the shows back in the day, and like Jared and Waylon were throwing their guitars so hard, it looked like the things were their straps were gonna break off. And I was like, do they go, hey, what would look cool is if we went like this?
Yeah. Or
does it just like, man, I'm feeling it, and it just happens?
With the Heartsick guys, in my time with the No Life and then into Heartsick, I've never seen them like be like, okay, we're gonna do this here in this part of the song, or we're gonna do this guitar spin here, or we're gonna like look like we're throwing it here. Everything is organic. Everything is going by how they feel, how we feel. Whatever we're doing it's all done right there in the moment.
Do they practice like that too?
No. Like we'll when we practice, we just, everybody, those guys, they'll have their hair tied back, and we're just all
glasses on, hair back.
Yeah. I mean, and there's times that we're getting in the groove and we're all feeling it. We're all like nodding our heads while we're jamming, but like that's our practices to the extent is just us nodding our heads and getting into it a little bit. But
the throwing and the jumping and the jumping off the bass drum and all that just happens when the crowd's really feeling it.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah. So we don't really rehearse that.
I was hoping that you were going to say that Jared and Waylon like get together like little schoolgirls and giggle. It would be so cute if we both jumped and threw our guitars.
Yes, they do that.
I knew it.
Yeah. No. But truthfully, no, they don't do that. But
and then the other thing I wanted to ask you too. Have you ever had to have a conversation with a singer or a bass player or a guitar player, be like, hey man, don't touch my drums like that during the show. Don't stand on my bass drum. Don't hit my cymbal.
Actually, no. Something that it's not really commonly known that well. I don't know if I should be saying it, but like all the Heartsick gear, Alfonso actually owns it all. So I have my own kit. And actually, my personal kit is actually stored in his garage. He's storing it for me because it doesn't fit in this apartment here.
Yeah,
but
it doesn't lend itself to apartment living.
Yeah. So, but when it comes to the band gear, it's all his. He owns it all. Because
that was the first thing I saw when I watched that concert yesterday. Was when he stood on the bass drum. I was like, I don't know how I'd feel about him standing on my bass drum.
Yeah. I mean,
but if it's his own bass drum, go for it.
It's his own bass drum. But I mean, I guess if it was my bass drum, Alfonso's one of my best friends. I wouldn't care if he stood on my own bass drum.
As long as he didn't break it.
Just as long as he didn't break it, it's all good. You know what I mean? Yeah. But when it comes to him of the Heartsick gear, he owns it all. So he can stand on his bass drum all he wants. You know, what
break
I mean?
that shit all day long.
But if anything, if there's anything if anytime a cymbal cracked, I'm like, fuck, I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, cymbal's cracked. He's like, dude, I got a warranty on it. I'll just sit at it, send it in, and get another one. I mean, the dude is very, very smart. So
yeah, he's a businessman and a hustler.
Yeah. Yep. He knows what he wants, and you know, he's a good dude. So
and I say that in the best way possible too. I hope nobody thinks I'm like saying it like trying to throw shade at him.
No. Yeah. You know, he knows what he wants. You know, he's the leader of the band. You know, it's his band.
Is there ever any friction? Because I know that on a lot of times, maybe it's just me because I'm an asshole, but like a lot of times the front man and the drummer will have almost kind of like a rivalry, just because the drummer is like the composer of the band, but the singer is like the face and voice of the band.
Yeah. I never had, I think the most time that there was any friction between us was when I was just in a really bad state of mind back in 2014 after we released the first record, because I knew I knew we released the first record, and we worked really hard on that record, writing the record.
Do you contribute to like the musical writing?
Yes and no. The first record, yes, I did more so on the first record. It was more of a collaborative effort on all three of us, or four of us.
I remember being a drummer being like, you know what, if we put in a little pause here and then hit it, like that might sound cool. And they'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, let's try that.
So the first record, the writing process was, you know, Alfonso and Jared are like, they usually are the main song, like they'll have the riffs, ideas. And we kind of like, we will come in and we'll like make a rough skeleton of the song. Mm-hmm. And then we had our buddy JD. He was our producer at the time. He would come in and kind of like polish everything off, and then we would go to the studio. And that was when we first started working with Josh Schrader.
Yeah,
and on that record, you know, Josh is an amazing drummer, an amazing musician. Like that dude is just super creative, and
that's probably fun for you as a drummer to be in there with the producer that knows what you're doing.
He's doing, yeah. So like he adds another element to the songwriting process, and you know, with the later and for the newer Heartsick stuff, it's like we all have a say in it, but like there's also other people, like, you know, Josh Schrader, Damon Tate from A Virtue comes in sometimes and just writes with us a little bit, but for the most part, the only time that there was like friction, I would say, was when I was when I had to leave and I didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't go tour as much, you know, because I needed to work. Now there's Lyft and Uber, and you know, so I can work and on my own schedule and be able to tour, you know.
Yeah.
So,
and if you guys, I would imagine too, even doing that, like if you're like, shit, we need money for gas. Here, let's go give somebody a lift.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, you know, and, you know, like Lyft, like that would have been cool to do, but I couldn't work outside of Michigan for Lyft and Uber. But like, there's like Instacart now, Grubhub. I can work out of state if I had to. But then, you know, driving a van with a trailer is probably not the best to do that. So what I do is I try to work as much as possible during our off time.
Yeah.
And I just save. So when we go on tour, everything is covered, and, you know, so.
Smart and good that you're able to do that too, because some people just see that money come and go, ooh, I should spend that.
Yeah. So yeah, it takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, you know, I'm really not a competitive person. I'm really not a rival person. Yeah. Like I like to
you don't need to feel like the spotlight's on you.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm very really reserved. And actually, when you approached me to do this podcast, I'm like, you know, like normally I would have said no, thank you, but no. But like, I am trying to push myself. When I talked to Fonzo, like after we scheduled the date, I'm like, yo, dude, I'm gonna do this, and I was like, I really want, you know, I'm kind of nervous about it, but you know, I'm just trying to push myself and, you know, like just trying to be, you know, better myself in life, you know. And he was very supportive about it. He was like, yeah, dude, do it up, you know, like it'd be really good for you. And
well, I'm glad he didn't say, no, dude, that guy's a shithead, don't talk to him.
No, he was like, he was super supportive about it. He was like, yeah, man, do it up, man, it'll be really cool. And you know, it was nice to get that extra assurance and confidence boost, you know, because like I don't like I am doing this right now. It's taking me out of my comfort level a little bit, and yes, it's 10 o'clock and I'm drinking a beer. But I actually cut back drinking a lot. So this is the first beer that I've had in I don't even know how long. And
Well, I already drank mine. There was a cheers.
If you want another one, please feel free to. I can get you one, or feel free to it's in the fridge, man.
We actually got to wrap this up soon. We've been talking for almost an hour and 15 minutes.
Oh wow!
Can you believe
Time
it?
just flew by, man.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like you go into a trance when you're in doing one of these.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, no, it's but yeah, this is very cool, man. And I want to thank you for asking me to do this. And
well, thanks for doing it, man. Because honestly, I've talked to a few people recently who do things outside of anything that I comprehend. Mm-hmm. So getting and sitting down and talking to somebody who I can actually kind of nerd out with a little bit.
Yeah.
This is a lot of fun.
Yeah. This is awesome, dude. I'm having a blast, man. That's cool.
Cool. Well, we should wrap it up because
okay.
You got places to be and so do I.
Yeah,
and we've been talking for over an hour, but
nice.
Is there anything you want to leave people with? Last thoughts, things about Heartsick, social media links, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, you can check out, please check out Heartsick. I'm not sure what our social media stuff is. I know we do have a Facebook. I know we have an Instagram. I know we have a website. I don't know.
And I'll put it all up in the show notes too.
Thank you, man. Yeah. I mean, I love those guys. I love every one of them. Waylon, Jared, and Fonzo. They're all three of those guys are, I consider them really my best friends, and we all support each other, and we have each other's backs, and we're all working really, really hard on this new music. We're about to release a 5-song EP, I think, and then there's like another 18 songs after that for a whole record. I don't know if we're gonna just release a record or if we're just gonna do singles. That's all still like. Fonzo has an idea of what he wants to do, but we're just trying to get over this COVID bullshit, and we're anxious to get back on the road. But please check out Heartsick. We are very passionate on what we do, and we do it because we love doing this. We love music. We love creating music. We love interacting with people. We love meeting new people. And that's, just please check us out. Give us a listen. And if you like it, please share it with your friends. And yeah,
it's great music if you're running too. Actually, I text Alfonso shortly after he did my show. I was like, man, I was listening to Coffin Chaser while I was running, and I had to stop because I almost gave myself a heart attack.
Oh yeah. Wow. Man. Yeah, that's an old school song. Yeah, that's off the first record.
Yeah. We got to run. So everybody, thank you for listening, and check out Heartsick. God damn it. Later, man.
See ya.
Hey everybody, thank you for listening. Make sure you check out Heartsick. They're on social media at Heartsick Band. Got that new EP out. Should be on Spotify. Anywhere else you go and listen to music, look them up. Heartsick. If you like the show, show your support at www.buymeacoffee.com/creativeops. Buy me a coffee. It'll keep me going. Thanks to Jeff M for the coffee last time. Appreciate you, brother. And go to the website, www.christophertalon, Talon with 2 L's, christophertalon.com. You can learn more about me, the book that I wrote, the blogs that I write, the companies that I do writing for, and all that kind of stuff. So, bye everybody.